Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Steam Forward podcast. As always, I'm your host, Savannah, and today, Pastor Linda has requested that I am the guest of the podcast.
You are the guest today.
And so Pastor Linda is here to just interview me so you guys can have a little background of who I am. And so help us actually welcome in Pastor Linda. She's back on the podcast.
Everybody, hello. I was thinking about it yesterday. I thought, wait a minute. Nobody really knows who Savannah really is. She shows up every week. She's smiling. She greets everybody. But who is she really?
Right. Okay.
So I would like you to tell us a little bit about your life.
Yeah.
And, where were you born? Mm-hmm. I know that your parents were in the military. You traveled all around the world with them. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. So, my parents were in the military. So the most interesting thing about myself is I was actually born in Tokyo, Japan.
What?
Yeah. So I was born in Tokyo. And my parents were actually in the Air Force, so both my parents. And so they met in Japan. And so I was born in Japan along with my older brother. So I have an older brother, and then there's me, and then there's my younger sister, and then there's my little brother. And so we moved then to New Mexico, then to Mississippi.
Wow.
And then back to Japan. And then we are now here in Florida. And so my dad is now officially retired after like 20 plus years. My mom unenlisted after 8 years. So yeah, just been everywhere.
So Japan.
Yeah.
Do you like sushi?
I love sushi. I think Japanese food is, nobody hate on me when I say this, Japanese and Korean food are like top tier Asian cuisine, in my opinion. So when I lived there when I was in high school, I lived in Okinawa, Japan, which is a little bit more traditional than Tokyo.
Okay.
If you don't know, that's where World War II actually took place.
I do know that.
And so it's more traditional. It's a really small island. It could take you about 3 hours to drive from the top to the bottom. And
what do you mean the top to the bottom?
So it's like an island. So if you get in your car, you start driving. So you can probably cover the whole island from the point, the tippy top to the bottom in 3 hours.
So there's mountains there?
Actually, no.
Okay.
There's no mountains. It's fully surrounded by water. The most mountains.
Oh, you mean the most northern part?
Yeah, the most northern to the most southern is about a 3 hour drive. And so I got to have my my Japanese cultural experience in a place that, yes, I was in a military base, but you were able to also understand the historical significance of World War II and kind of like all of the bad things that America kind of did to them. But they love American people, surprisingly. And it was such an awesome experience. And so that's all the places I've lived. So my parents were in the military. So I've just kind of been a little bit of everywhere, even outside of that. I have a mom who's very educational forward. So we did school in the summertime. We visited like every national park, state park, no matter where we lived. Yeah. And my parents, they're nomads now. So they travel around the world in their RV and just experience different things. And so my mom is all about learning outdoors and in nature. And so that's why I think I've always fit in very well at Gen 2050.
I think so too. Now I know why.
Yeah.
But I'm still intrigued by Japan.
Yeah.
What's the most exciting thing for you about living in Japan?
Well, what was so bizarre to me is because when you're younger, you don't really understand things. So I never understood how people who were in the military could go to school off base because their children know how to speak full Japanese. And so I was like, so you guys lived here your whole lives. And so I went to school on base. So you go to school on base, but there were people who were part of like Okinawa cities who were also allowed to go to our schools. And so I thought the dynamic was so insane because if you don't know anything about a military base, they're very strict on security. So I thought living there was so different how they blended, like they were really accepting of like Japanese culture and Japanese people, and non-civilians would be the term to come to school on base and enjoy this military experience. But the best thing about Japan is the food and honestly the hospitality.
Okay.
The people there are super sweet and super nice. It's like, Southern hospitality, but they'll go above and beyond just to serve you. And so, yeah, I would say the people are really one of the best aspects of Japan.
Okay. So the other question I have is, how did your childhood impact you with your choice of what to major in at college and what you're doing now? So talk to us about that.
Okay, so something I think a lot of younger people can actually align with this. When I was younger, I didn't really necessarily know what I wanted to do when I got older. And so when I was younger, I did a lot of, like a couple of years, I did vacation Bible school and I was a camp counselor. And I did enjoy that. And I never really leaned into that enough, I think. And so when I was in high school, I was just really like impressed by materials. Like I loved clothing, I loved makeup, I loved just getting dressed. And so for my first year of college, I actually went to study fashion.
Okay.
But when I was there, I was like, I don't feel like I need a degree in something that I feel like just kind of comes to you. Like I just didn't find an avenue that I felt like was perfect for me. I didn't want to be a merchandiser. I didn't want to be a buyer. I didn't want to work on fashion shows. Like nothing just kind of enticed me.
You just wanted to wear the clothes.
Yes, that's what I figured out about myself. I just want to wear them. I just want to be cute. And so I was like,
I can do that all on my own.
And so I was like, I'm going to switch my major. And so part of the business, part of the fashion course, you also got the business side. So I was like, let me just try business because you live in Miami and that's what everybody else is doing. So I tried the business and I was like, there's nothing that I see myself doing here. And so I really started to get into church, in Trinity Church. And when I started serving here, I joined the youth ministry. And I was like, I love kids. And what I found out is that I was really good at getting kids to listen to me, which is kind of strange to say, but I was really good
That's an art.
Yeah, I was really good at getting kids to listen to me. And what I realized is that I love history. History is my favorite thing, specifically American history. And I love to teach people things that they don't already know. And so with American history and African history, just history in general, a lot of people are they're not very knowledgeable into why things exist and why they are in place and how they are now. And so specifically in COVID and like the pandemic, just like the idea of people not knowing their history or their background of things really pushed me forth into wanting to pursue education. And what I've really like enjoyed like with Gen 2050 and youth ministry and just other things that I've done in youth development is I just like having relationships with children, not in that kind of way, but like just having an impact on their lives for them to open their minds to know that there's so much more in this world that you don't know about. And I love teaching them. And then they go, I never knew that. And I was like, well, now you do. And that's the awesome part about life. And I think that some of them have been limited in their demographic or the city that they live in into what they're actually accessible to. So I really am thankful to be in the place like Miami Gardens to really impact students that need it the most.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I got to the educational route. It started very vague, but then I found something that I was really good at that I think if a long time ago I really leaned into it, I would have already been in it.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking you these questions is a number of our Gen 2050 students, when I talk to them, they say, well, I don't know what I really want to be.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't go to college because I don't know. I haven't figured it out. And I keep trying to tell them, you can't figure everything out when you're in high school.
Mm-mm.
I still haven't figured out everything.
Yeah.
But you got to move forward.
Yeah.
So your story is really saying what I've been trying to tell them, which is just start.
Yeah.
Just get out there.
Yeah. I would tell them, don't feel so pressured. I think that when you're in high school and sometimes a lot of them, because they come from Caribbean backgrounds, they have academically inclined parents. Like they have to be doctors, they have to be lawyers, they have to be all these things. And those things are great as well. But I think that you get experience with getting out there. You have to get out there first before you know what you like. It took me different times and trials to really find out what I actually like. And you have to actually just analyze, like, what are you good at? I think a lot of people don't even know what they're good at.
But you can't know what you're good at when you're just sitting in a chair.
Right. You can't. And you can't know what you're good at if you've never even done like an extracurricular, or you're not really out there trying to try new things. Because I think change really scares people, and there's different avenues than being an athlete. There's different avenues than being a YouTuber or a streamer. I think that I don't think that kids really know how much is actually out there. And that's why I really like working with you, because you're all about the engineering field. And I personally didn't know how vast and like how many things that people can do in engineering until I met you. And that's just how closed-minded a lot of us are about careers and things that we can pursue in life.
There are very few things, just even in this room, that there wasn't an engineer.
Right.
Even in your food. The packaging of your food, how your food is prepared. There's lots of engineers involved. So, so let's go engineers. That's what I say. But in the meantime, you're going to graduate soon.
Yes, I am. And I'm super excited about it. So I already have like an AAA, but I am going to get basically all my educational stuff out of the way. I just have some hours I have to clock in. But yeah, I'm going to be a teacher finally.
So we're going to have a little party with Friday, with the cap and gown, because it's so important for the students to see you achieving.
Yeah, I think so too. They ask me a lot, well, what are you working towards? And so it's always nice that they also care about me too.
Okay, so as we always do here on the Steam Forward podcast, it's time for the word of the day.
Word of the day.
So what is your word of the day?
I'm going to say perseverance.
All right.
And I believe that is really what I've been living my life on. I am a Christian, so I do go to church. And so the Bible speaks about when you persevere and when you really push through life and you just kind of push forth and go for the things that you really want, or the things that God has truly ordained in your life. There's blessings on the other side of it. And so it's taken me years to figure out what I want to do. But I've never felt more blessed. I've never felt more abundant in my job and my career and my life than I have now.
That's
so I just feel like I've really persevered and I've really achieved what I've really wanted. And now I just have to look forward to what do I want next.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn the show back over to you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Pastor Linda. And as always, there are two sponsors that we love to thank, and that's the Children's Trust and Trinity Church. And don't forget that there are 3 ways in which you can watch or listen to this podcast. If you like to listen, just follow us on Apple or Spotify. If you'd like to watch, follow us on YouTube. Remember, this is the Steam Forward podcast. See you next week.